There's a middle school in southern Ohio grabbing national attention after administrators removed a religious portrait to avoid a pricey lawsuit. Now, here's the painting of Jesus. It's been on display in that school for 66 years, 1947. But a legal challenge claims it's an unconstitutional endorsement of Christianity. We're going to bring on both sides right now. Dan Barker's co-president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Sir, good morning to you. I know you supported taking the picture down, but it's been hanging there since Harry Truman was in the White House. What's the harm in keeping it?
Well, the last time I checked, there's no statute of limitations on the First Amendment. A permanent painting of a religious figure on a high school wall is government speech. There's a difference between free speech and government speech, and the Freedom from Religion Foundation and the ACLU of Ohio, we sued in federal court on behalf of parents and students in that school who feel like outsiders.
Well, who is it offending? Because we saw one of the town halls that the school held, and boy, they asked for a show of hands to say who supports the picture hanging there, and it was overwhelmingly in support of not changing anything. Who's offended? Well,
we don't have majority rule in this country. We have constitutional rule, and if there's at least one person who objects, that person should not be made to feel like an outsider. If there were one black student in a predominantly white school, could they put up a white supremacy sign? You know that would be unfair and un-American and unconstitutional.
Did you have your sights on this school and this portrait for a while?
No. No, we didn't. It was students in the school who complained to us. Our lawsuit was based on local plaintiffs. There are 5 plaintiffs in the lawsuit that are named, and there are other people in that community who don't like the Jesus painting on the high school wall.
Understood. But among the students, how many were there total? Were there 5 students or less than that?
Well, there were students and parents. There are 5 named plaintiffs of students and parents. It wouldn't matter if there were only one. The minorities are to be protected in this country. The majority does not have the right to bully its way and to force its picture of the man who created hell on the rest of the world. They can put it in their churches and in their homes. It's a free country, but the public school belongs to everybody.
Do you believe this matter is settled now? Because the picture's been taken down.
To see. Well, this case is still live. This was a temporary restraining order. And when we get assurance that it will remain down from the school, then we can drop the case, which is scheduled for another hearing next week. So we're waiting to see if it indeed stays down.
Okay, we'll follow that hearing next week. Dan Barker, thank you. From one side of the argument, appreciate your time, but from the Ohio School District now, Hiram Sasser's with me, Director of Litigation for the Liberty Institute. And sir, good morning to you by way of Skype. What are you going to do now?
Well, because the insurance company informed us a couple of hours before the temporary restraining order hearing, before we walked in, that they were not going to provide coverage to the school district, and because the law would allow the ACLU and Freedom from Religion Foundation to get a whole lot of attorney's fees and money from this school district that cannot afford it, we had to agree to take down the portrait in order to avoid the court ordering us to do so.
So it was a money issue for you?
Well, certainly is, and you know, the school district is not in a position where it can afford to continue to fight over this portrait issue, because if they don't have insurance coverage. You know, that's one of the reasons why we at Liberty Institute, not for this case, but hopefully for future cases, are trying to fundraise around the country to develop an indemnification fund, where when an insurance company fails to insure a school district, and we believe that they're right and they're in the legal right to be able to do what they're doing, that we would be able to insure them ourselves.
That's interesting.
Go to libertyinstitute.org to learn about that.
This is the superintendent of Jackson City Schools in Ohio. He says we just couldn't roll the dice with taxpayer money. It's not fair to take those resources from our kids' education. What was the estimated cost of legal fees?
Well, I mean, I saw a case once when the ACLU won against a school district where the court ordered $2 million in attorney's fees. That was after an extensive period of time of litigation. But that's the problem with these types of cases, is that government entities are held hostage and frankly, they're going to have to pay these attorneys' fees if they lose, even if they thought that they had a meritorious claim. So. Yeah. It's a very tough situation for the school district, and the school district, I think, is doing the right thing by ordering the High Y Club to take the portrait down. Now it's up to the High Y Club. It's their First Amendment rights that are at issue. If they want to take action, they can.
What's the High Y?
The High Y Club is the club who owns the portrait.
Okay.
And they're the ones that we told it's a student club. It's been around since the 1920s. They put up the portrait in 1947, and we told them that they have to take the portrait down, even though it's their portrait in private speech, because we just can't afford to risk
I understand the point you're making. How are the students at the school reacting? What are they saying? What are the teachers saying that supported it?
Well, you know, I don't know what everybody's saying, but what I do know is that I think there's a lot of citizens who are angry at the school district. But I think people need to understand the school district had a sword of Damocles hanging over them. I mean, if the court were to start issuing a lot of orders against the school district, certainly that could create some problems for them. And they just can't roll the dice on that kind of taxpayer money. But maybe one of these days we'll be able to provide some sort of insurance or indemnification for these school districts. It's
interesting, yeah, that you talk about a possibility in the future to develop that organization where they have the funds and the money to fight it, especially for small towns like Jackson, Ohio. Hiram Sasser, thanks to you. Dan Barker representing the other side before you. There is apparently another hearing next week, so we'll see if anything comes from that. Sir, thank you for your time today by way of Skype.
Thank you.